Hi everyone, this is Melissa the Stamp Doc. Today I'm going to demonstrate for you these cards showing you how I do ink blending on the background as well as how I use the Stampin Blends to create a custom color on these lilies. Now on these cards I am using the lovely lily pad stamp set as well as the coordinating lily pad dies. These are available while supplies last during Sale-a-Bration, which runs through March 31st, 2020. Now what this means is if you make a purchase with Stampin UP of $50 or more, you can select the lovely lily pad stamp set as your free gift with purchase. With a $100 purchase, you can select the lily pad dies as your free gift. So these are not available for purchase themselves. You do have to make a qualifying purchase to get them for free. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me and I'll be happy to answer. So we're going to get started with our background on this. You're going to want to cut a piece of paper to 2 inches by 4 1/4, and let's get started. I'm starting here with my piece of Whisper White cardstock that I did cut to 2 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And I want you to pay attention to my setup. So I have my grid paper underneath everything. And then I have a silicone mat and my piece of Whisper White cardstock. I'm using a sponge dauber in Pacific Point ink. And you'll notice that I'm daubing it into the ink pad, and then I will stamp off onto the grid paper, and that helps soften that dot appearance so that you don't get like a hard edge around your sponging that you're doing. Now I'm also starting on the silicone mat and working my way over onto the paper. And this just gives a much more smooth transition and keeps it from getting really dark around the edges. Now, if you don't have a mat or you're a little bit new to this and you don't want those dark edges, you might just want to cut your paper a little bit wider and longer and then just trim it down to where you want it to be. But you're going to work pretty slowly. I had to speed up this video so that it was double time. So I don't necessarily do this quickly. But what you will want to do is just add several different layers on there until you get the desired color. Next, I'm using Pool Party to blend that in. So again, I stamp off and start working on the side of the silicone mat and blending that color in. And so I'm working down from the Pacific Point and working my way up. And again, just going to do quite a few layers on that to get the desired color and effect. Now, sponge daubers are great for a lot of different techniques, and they're very inexpensive. With Stampin Up, you can get 5 of them for $5, so it works out to just about $1 per dauber. You can rinse these out, or you can actually have one for every color that you own. It's just really what your preference is on that. So as you can see, I've put about 5 layers down of color on each one of those to get the color nice and deep and rich. I'm not going to want that transition area to be really strong. So I'm going to go back over that again with some more of the Pacific Point and again a little bit more with some of the Pool Party to make sure that there's not a real defined edge there. And that gives you that nice blended effect on there. So I did stamp this lily pad stamp onto Whisper White cardstock with black memento ink. And I die cut it with the lily pad dies. And now I'm going to use one of the dark Old Olive Stampin Blends to color around the edges of this. The blends are really great because you can add different shading on your images. Now, I am by no means an expert on coloring, but I just follow the outline and, put it dark wherever I think it would look better to be dark. And so once I get all of my dark put on there, then I'm going to take the light Old Olive Stampin' Blend and blend those two together. So you can see how that's working. So that just blends it out so that it's a very transitional piece. Now I wanted to add a little bit more dark, so I'm putting some more dark in there, and then I'm going to blend that out just a little bit more before it's finished. So blends come in packs of 2. You can get a combo pack, or you can buy them individually in either the light or the dark. Now for this next flower, I'm going and doing the outline in Lovely Lipstick in the dark blend. And I'm just going around all of the edges. Now I'm not trying to stay in any distinct lines or anything like that. I'm just going around the outline of the image as it's stamped and following along the lines that are within the flower as well. So I do this pretty quickly. I don't really overthink this too much. I just go through, do the whole thing, and I'll be able to blend that out with my next color. But just do that quickly. Like I said, don't overthink it too much or where you want your shading. We're just doing a quick lay down of color to get that darker color in there. So you can see it looks pretty just like that. Next, I'm taking the dark Daffodil Delight blend, and I'm just going into the centers of the center petals of this. And that, along with the dark, I'm going to now blend those with the light Lovely Lipstick blend. And what that will do is it just creates almost a different shade of pink in that center. I like it, and just by leaving a little bit of yellow there, it looks, gives it a really interesting effect. So I'm just blending all of that out, and you'll be able to see that shading when I do the close-up at the end. So this next one, I'm actually creating a whole different kind of color. So I'm using the light Daffodil Delight blend and just coloring in the center of those petals. Next, I'm going in with the dark Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going around those. And so on all of this, I'm only using 4 different blends. I'm using Old Olive, Flirty Flamingo, Lovely Lipstick, and Daffodil Delight. So this final one is the light Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going over that, and by blending those two together, I'm actually coming up with a whole new unique color. So it's not truly just Flirty Flamingo. So our next step is to stamp another one of the little images from the Lovely Lily Pad stamp, and I'm just doing a couple of waves there at the bottom. Do make sure that your blending has completely dried before you do this. This is a die cut from the Lily Pad dies, and I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive. I die cut that from black cardstock, and I'm adding that along the edge with that multi-adhesive. Just give that a good press in place and allow that a little bit of time to dry. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this piece, and I'm going to add it to a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I like to have that extra layer of cardstock on my card just to give it a little bulk. Now we're going to add our lily pad and our floral images, and I'm just using a combination of the multi-adhesive glue as well as the dimensionals too. So just to give this a little bit of pop. And dimensionals are another thing that, it's very inexpensive, but it can really add a lot to your card. So they're very economical, but they just add that little something extra to your card. So I love things like that that just, really make your card look extra special. Again, I'm going to put another layer of dimensionals on this before I put it on the card base. And my card base measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So there is that. And then I'm going to add a greeting that I already stamped, as well as some clear epoxy droplets. And on the greeting, you'll notice that my dimensionals are black. This is great because it just doesn't really show on the card once I have that in place. So it's very cute. All right, and there is the finished card. So I've done a happy birthday and a thank you. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. You'll find the complete supply list below.